Right.
buyer for that.
Right, but eBay's not gonna charge me anywhere near 50%.
Well, they charge the buyer, so if I'm property.com and you buy something from me, then I'm gonna charge you.
Oh, okay.
You're saying that eBay's listing fees and final sale fees don't add up to 50%, but eBay also doesn't provide the scope of services that
Right,
we're getting
right.
in this.
Storage, we find a way to get rid of it.
Are there certain items that have a yearly, multiple year time frame versus some that are tens of years time frame?
No, generally, it's about the same timeframe. We just really haven't had a good outlet. I think in the past, we maybe used some of the city auctions to do that, but that's kind of far and few between.
Now, can you do this with everything from the smallest item to a
Yes,
car?
they take- Yeah,
Just not firearms.
just not firearms, anything dangerous. So, and for firearms, we actually had, we use another vendor that we surplus those things out to. It's a firearms dealer, and they trade us credit. So we're able to buy, like last year, we had surplus firearms, and we ended up with like $4,000 worth of credit. So we were able to buy some things that we need and use that instead of something out of our budget. Okay.
3 questions. What other police departments use this service? How long have they used it, and are they satisfied with it?
I don't know how many police departments use it. I can certainly find that out for you. I've actually looked at the website. I know it's used by quite a few, but I didn't really check and see how many police departments. Look, you can log on to propertyguru.com. Anybody can get on that website. You can see they've got a host of items. There's no shortage of supplies, but I don't know exactly how many police departments are using it.
Is there anybody locally that might be able to give us an opinion on this?
I can get a hold of that.
I would be curious, because we're buying a pig in a poke here. We don't know anything about this service.
But you do, you're getting all the documentation that you need. I mean, that's really vital for you, right? Is the documentation?
I need to be able to show what we did with that property, so, where it went, that type of tracking. So sometimes, I think in the past, we put things out in surplus and it gets sold and we don't know where it went. So they give us tracking for each item that is sold and give us a disposition for that. Some things, if it sits too long and there's no value, then it could get junked, but they'll let us know the disposition of that final piece.
It's a very valuable service to be able to track it.
Yes.
Is that the only reason that you don't utilize what Fire and Jennifer would use it as just, getting rid of it in a surplus sale? You have to have the documentation as to where it went. That's the difference, right?
That's it, yeah, that's the main thing for us. And say, in years past when that's done, and again, I don't know, we didn't get much information back. I think we had items that were sold that we don't know where it went, so. We have to be able to show for each item that we dispose of, what happened to it, was it sold, destroyed? But I'll get that information.
Okay. The other question is, does it free up any FTE from the property room clerk? And can you profitably use that FTE that's freed up for some other purpose?
Basically, it just clears up our property room. And it probably saves staff a little bit of time in trying to categorize and inventory everything for some type of an auction. And the record keeping that would go along with that versus just calling in, shipping it out, and then getting the data back as far as the disposition. It does save us a little bit of time there.
Okay.
So I have a question for you. Do we, if we sign up with this agreement then, do we ship items to them and they hang on to it, and then if it gets sold, they ship it out?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
It all goes to, they take possession of the property, they hold on to it until it's sold or destroyed.
Oh, okay, cool.
Other questions? This may be one that we test a little bit before we run with it. I had some concerns I brought up to the chief originally when this first came forward, and basically okayed it coming to the council level with the understanding that this just opens up another option for us. Not that we necessarily have to use it,
Exactly.
but it's another option outside of the traditional unclaimed property auctions and that type of stuff that some of the communities have done before. So if, to me, some of the numbers looked a little bit high as far as the 50% and on
Right.
and on and on. I was like, geez. But we can see. We can see.
While I won't be here next week, I'll have Sergeant Cook show up in my place and he can address the questions.
Worries. Okay. Other questions for Chief? Okay. On to items. I have a couple of items for you. The first one, as you know, on Friday, we had our employee recognition breakfast. It was well attended by the staff, and regardless of any jeers that we might have gotten from the Columbian, I responded to Mr. Campbell that he certainly probably knows how to run a newspaper, and will take care of running the city the way we see fit. So,
Thanks.
thank you very much for the note in there. But, well, with that, we did have one recipient who was not there on Friday, and that would be our department head of the year, our director of the year, Mr. Trevor Evers.
Wow.
So for those public who also were not there on Friday, thank you for not showing up. It was a nice intimate time for staff to be together. We've got a certificate of for Trevor that has that distinction on there, in addition to a plaque with his name as the 2010 Excellence in Public Service Award for Directors. At least for this year, we'll stay in City Hall, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
All right.
And
Thank you very much.
move along. What happened to the who?
The Ducks t-shirt.
Nobody gave that to me.
Auburn.
But Trevor, thank you very much for everything that you've done. And just so for the public that is here in the newspapers, I know I got some information to them. The service awards that we started this year are, to me, they're a little bit unique. They're ones that nominations came from staff members across the board for staff members across the board. It wasn't the directors voting on the directors, it was rank and file staff who were in on the nominations and on the selections as well. Dave and I had nothing to do with any of it, council members didn't have anything to do with it. It was purely employees recognizing employees from the different departments for the contributions that they've done. So that, to me, is a very telling thing when your peers are willing to not only nominate you and call you out from the rest of the group, but then another group sits there and looks at it and makes a determination of who the top of the top are. So, congratulations, job well done. In addition to that, I also have for council, Councilman McDaniel and Russell and I met on Saturday to go over committee and liaison assignments for 2011. And these are the results that came from those discussions on Saturday. We do have a couple of them that are on here still listed as to be determined. The